Hello, my name is Michael Salustio. I'm a nutritional consultant and personal fitness trainer at Evolutions. And I'm here to welcome you today to E.connect 2021, our virtual fitness challenge. We are so excited you guys decided to participate in this virtual mind-body program. So for the next 21 days, you will have exclusive access to a different workout each day, presented by our talented staff of fitness professionals and covering strength training, flexibility, core conditioning, cardiovascular fitness, balance, breath work, and meditation. We expect that if you take full advantage of this opportunity, you'll begin 2021 healthier and happier than you ever were in 2020. And that shouldn't be too difficult, right? So what I want to talk to you about today are two things that will help you get the most out of this amazing opportunity. First, I want to encourage you to set an intention, or a goal, if you will, for the challenge. And I want to talk to you about how looking at nutrition, what and how you eat during these next 3 weeks can give you a huge advantage and increase the likelihood of attaining those goals. So let's get started. So about setting your attention. I like to look at this as sort of a values versus vices kind of approach. What I mean by that is if you get a piece of paper and make a list on one column about what's important to you. So this would be your values side, obviously. What things do you really aspire to? What drives you every day? And then in the other column, what's interfering with you living up to those values? What do you actually spend time on? And do these things serve you? So when you look at these two lists, I want you to think about, well, identify the inconsistencies, because 9 times out of 10, they don't really reconcile. So if you can determine why they don't sync up, you're off to a good start. So if you look at your values and they don't sync up with what you're actually spending time on during the day, think about why. Maybe your values aren't as important as you thought they were. It's not likely, but it's possible. Are you procrastinating? And if so, why? Is fear of failure a factor? Do you have past failures in these categories? So the things that you aspire to on your values side, are you afraid of failing to achieve those things or live up to those values? This is a really common one. And what I always say about that is, can you put the past behind you? Because really the best way to approach this challenge is to think about you're starting today, no matter where you're starting from, it's the first step towards what you're headed towards, right? So think about these values when you go to set your goals. So for instance, if your value is you just want to live a healthy lifestyle, well, look at what you're doing right now with your lifestyle. If you're having trouble managing your weight, if your energy is not ideal, if you're not sleeping well, these are all things you can set as goals that will help you to live up to those values. So if managing weight is the issue, then think about how much weight you want to lose, or what size clothes you want to fit in. Those are some measurable ways that you can set goals. And also think about, are those goals that you're setting realistic or practical? Because if you've set the bar too high, and I'm sure you've heard this before, you're setting yourself up for failure. And if you set it too low, well, then once you've achieved it, if it's somewhere midway through this 21-day challenge, then what have you got left to do? So be practical with it and make it reasonable. Do the goals depend on someone else performing? Because that's never a good idea. It's okay to have a workout partner or somebody that you're participating in this challenge with, but you don't want to set your goals depending on whether they follow through with their commitment to the challenge. Hope that makes sense. Most importantly, I think when you go into the intentions and goals with this challenge, you want to have a why. What's motivating you? Why are you doing this? The best example I can think of for this is I had an elderly client years ago who came to me, and he had goals of becoming more flexible and stronger. So I said, that's admirable, and it's a worthy goal. Why do you want to achieve that? His response after a few minutes of thinking about it was, I just want to play with my grandkids. I want to be able to keep up with them physically and energetically. So that's his why. And he almost teared up a little bit, talking about it. So I really think it's important to have a motivation that will inspire you if you tend to get derailed or if you fall off track along the way, because you can always go back to that and tap back into it. It'll get you back on track much quicker if you have a reason for doing it. And again, just like setting those goals, make sure it's not a reason that's someone else's reason. That's kind of that old adage about, you can't quit smoking if you're doing it for someone else. It's got to be for your own reason, right? It's got to come from you, from within. So once you get these two things in place, that is your intention or your goals and your why, your motivation for doing them, write them down. I can't emphasize the importance of this enough. And the reason you want to write it down is because, in a sense, it makes it official. And what you do when you can write them down, when you write it down, what you can do is you can post these things on post-it notes in your environment, on your bathroom mirror, on the dashboard of your car, somewhere where you're going to see it throughout the day, every day, to keep you focused, to keep you on track. And if you do get derailed, looking at these reminders will bring you back on track. Finally, when it comes to goals and intentions, I think it's really helpful, tremendously valuable, to visualize a day in the life when you've achieved those goals. So take 10 to 15 minutes in private without distractions and close your eyes and just visualize what it's like when you've achieved that goal or goals that you set out to do when you started this program. Because pictures speak 1,000 words, so when you do get off track, and it's inevitable, it's going to happen at some point, you simply do the same thing. You sit quietly, close your eyes, and visualize what it feels like, what it looks like for you. All right? And finally, identify your obstacles in your support system. So we talked about the obstacles earlier. What are your vices, things that get in the way? But it's also really important to create a support system. Make the announcement to your family and friends that you're doing this thing and ask for the support. You're much more likely to succeed that way. All right, so let's go on to nutrition. Being a nutritional consultant, I work with people one-on-one all the time. And one of the best ways that I've found to start someone on a new challenge or a new path or goal is what I call cleaning the slate. Some people refer to this as detoxing or cleansing, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't matter to me. What's important is that you change what you've been doing, because it's pretty safe to say that if you're starting this challenge, you've got some goals in mind that you haven't been able to achieve or you've had difficulty with lately. Well, chances are your eating habits are tied into that. So best thing is to change up what you're doing. And one way to do that is to clean out the junk or the starchy carbs, the sugar, the processed foods in your diet. It's one of the simplest ways to get started. And you can call this a detox or cleanse if you want, but it's really just simplifying what you're doing and giving your gut a break, giving your gut a chance to kind of reset. And when you start eating more whole natural foods, it's a great way to sort of energize your system, speed up or spark your metabolism. So when I say sugar, I mean all your refined sugars primarily. If you're eating too much fruit, or if you're eating 2 or 3 servings of fruit a day, then that can be considered in the sugar category as well. By starchy carbs, I mean your flour-based foods, your crackers, your breads, your cereals, your pastas, that kind of thing. And then finally, your processed foods, things that are packaged or things in boxes and cans, things like that. So what you're left with is actually a pretty rounded out diet. You're talking about meats and vegetables and a limited amount of fruits if you're doing fruits at all in this program. And we'll get to that discussion in a few minutes here as well. What you're likely to experience if you're doing this, if you're cleaning out to this level that I'm describing and you haven't been eating clean for a while, is you're likely to feel pretty crappy for a few days, 2 or 3 days, give it, right? And after that 3rd or 4th day at the most, you kind of get over that hump, assuming you're being diligent about it. So the worse you've been eating going into this, the harder that first 3 days is going to be. It's okay, stick it out. You committed to 21 days. You can commit to at least 3 days of getting past that hump nutritionally, and then hopefully you'll be coasting from there. So the other thing I want you to do is keep track of how you feel after you eat. Keep a diet record, a diet symptom record I call it. And actually I'll be attaching a form to this video, or you'll be getting that from our E.connect team. It's a one-page form, and it gives you space to write down your foods and then how you're feeling within a 2-hour window after eating. And that 2-hour window is sort of key, because you want to give your body at least that much time for it to react or respond to how that food has affected you. Your digestion, any symptoms that they might be triggering, like fatigue or blood sugar drops, difficulty focusing, that kind of thing. As a matter of fact, there are 6 different categories or symptoms of how food can affect you and things you want to look out for. So the goal here is to develop an awareness around how food's affecting you, to eat more consciously. I call it the yoga of eating. And it's one of the most valuable tools you have in your toolkit to succeed in not only this program, but in attaining and maintaining your goals for the rest of your life. So you end up with a way of eating that's more conscious, and it's just more natural. So the goal here is to identify the problem foods, because by keeping track of the symptoms you're experiencing after you eat, you'll start to see patterns associated with certain foods in terms of how you feel afterwards. So getting back to those 6 categories, they are, I'll just tell you, physical category, and it's sort of a catch-all, and that is basically, do you have any gut issues, any digestive issues that are popping up, bowel issues, sinus congestion, increased heart rate, aches and pains, neuropathy, any physical symptom. You want to jot it down. Be as descriptive as possible, right? Appetite. Are you hungry? Are you satiated? Are you full after eating? And again, that 2-hour window is key here. Cravings. Be specific with these cravings. Do you crave salty foods or crunchy or sweet foods, creamy things? Do you crave dairy specifically? Another category is energy. Have you noticed a drop or an increase in energy after eating? And then another category is check in with your mind. Are you having difficulty focusing? Are you more alert mentally? Do you experience brain fog, difficulty focusing, or attention issues? And then finally, the emotions category. Yes, believe it or not, food can affect your emotions. It can make you irritable, melancholy, happy, you name it. Some of these things can be tied to food. So once you've checked in on all those categories, you want to rate at the end of your day overall how you felt. Compare it to other days. It's a matter of perspective, right? It's all relative. And then the following morning, you want to rate how you slept the night before, because believe it or not, foods can affect your quality of sleep and your ability to fall asleep. And if you're having serious, sleep or insomnia issues in general, I'd be happy to help with that. It's one of the things I work on with people, and we tweak the diet and sometimes recommend supplements to get you sleeping, because bottom line is, if you're not sleeping well, you're going to feel like you're spinning your wheels when it comes to exercise and your diet. Make sure you're getting good quality sleep and enough sleep. All right, so once you've identified the negative food symptom connection to the foods you're eating, then you can start to make changes to your diet to improve it and to make it more personal for you, because everyone's going to end up with a different diet when you go through this process. I recommend starting this diet journaling process before you even start the program if you're seeing this video early enough. That way, by the time you start the 21-day challenge, you can hit the ground running. So if you don't get that form from us, please feel free to ask me for it. I respond to email pretty quickly, within 24 or 48 hours. Okay, so once you've cleaned the slate, how do you eat then? And if you just want to do the clean out diet approach like we've just described during this 21 days, that's fine. If you want to take it another level One thing you can try, which I'm sure you've heard a lot about lately, is a ketogenic diet. What is a ketogenic diet? If you don't know, it's a metabolic state. Well, let's just say ketosis is a metabolic state in which the body burns fat as its primary source of energy instead of glucose. What it is not is a high protein diet, which a lot of people make this mistake. They think if they're eating a lot of protein, lean proteins, that they're on a ketogenic diet. Not really. Ketogenic means that you're converting the dietary fat to ketones for energy. So you need dietary fat intake to make that conversion work, or to make this part of your metabolic system operational. And it'll take 2 or 3 days once you started down this road before your body makes that transition in that energy system. So a true ketogenic diet is really low carb, high fat, and lower overall calories. The beauty of it is you don't really feel hungry if you're in ketosis, even though you're eating a lot less food, people find. Why do it? Well, ketosis is a really great way to burn fat, for starters. It's one of the quickest weight loss methods that I have when I work with somebody nutritionally. It can also help you manage and sometimes reverse certain disease states like diabetes, epilepsy, arthritis, heart disease, cancer, chronic inflammation. So the reduction of these symptoms and these states are all things that people claim that they feel or experience when they start doing the ketogenic diet. The big question everyone has is it safe? Yes. I can attest to this. I've been working with ketogenic diets for 20 plus years now, before they were popular. And as long as you maintain a mild or controlled state of ketosis, then it can give you all these benefits that we've described. Now, what you don't want to do is end up in a ketoacidosis state, and that is a more extreme state of ketosis. And that's associated with type 1 diabetes, chronic alcoholism, and kidney issues, kidney damage. You're not likely to get there. You've really got to go extreme to get there. But one way to keep track of this and make sure you don't is to measure your ketones on a regular basis. So you can do a urine test measurement, and that is basically these little sticks you can get from the pharmacy that measure ketones. You want to do your first morning urine. Or you can do a blood test, which is basically using ketone strips in a glucometer that you can also get from your local pharmacy. The urine test is a cheaper, easier way to do it. The blood test approach is going to be a little more accurate, but you can get by with the urine if you're okay with that. So, what do you eat on a ketogenic diet? Well, really, to be honest, or to be really ketogenic, you want to stick to a 60 to 70% fat intake, a 20 to 30% protein intake, and 10% carbs. Okay, so somewhere in those spectrum. And for instance, breakfast might look like whole Greek yogurt with coconut oil or MCT oil, 2 whole eggs cooked in olive oil or butter or coconut oil with vegetables if you want. Make an omelet out of it. A couple slices of bacon. These are all options. A smoothie made with unsweetened almond milk and 1 to 2 scoops of whey protein. Throw in some coconut oil or MCT oil in there, and you can make it even more ketogenic. You can even add some almond butter to it. Lunch might look like a can of sardines and half an avocado, which is my personal favorite for lunch. Real easy and truly ketogenic. It's all fat and protein. You can throw a salad in there with that if you want vegetables for lunch. And then dinner might be the same sort of approach as lunch, some kind of meat, some kind of vegetable. It's pretty simple. If you want to be ketogenic, you're really going to be avoiding fruits, or avoiding sugars, and that includes fruits, and includes grains. Avoiding grains, all flour-based foods, because they generally come from grains, and of course any added sugar. Also, finally here for ketogenic diet, you want to drink plenty of water. This keeps flushing your system, and it keeps your kidneys healthy. Let's see. So to wrap up here, I want you to think about, when you approach this program, think of it as a whole lifestyle, right? And along that path, maybe you want to you want to try something new, right? Since you're going down this road, why not try a new workshop that Evolutions offers? We've got lots of options. One that I really like is the FSB workshop, which Pam Blum is running about once a month. I'm sorry, FAB. So that would be, it's a sort of a mind-body approach. There's yoga in there, which is asanas, is what the A is. It's a fasting, so it includes a nutritional component, and then breathing. So all great things to focus on when you're trying to improve your lifestyle. So thanks for signing up. Good luck. And if you have any questions about nutrition anyway, don't be afraid to reach out. Thanks.